Thanks for tapping in with another film session of mine. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And also, please always feel free to comment. I'm always down to talk hoop as long as you're willing to do so from an unbiased perspective. Let's continue to clean up the discourse in this space of ours and make it one that we can all learn and continue to feel entertained from as well. That being said, we've talked a whole lot about Grayson Allen all season long. The shooting, the spacing, the volume at which he's able to knock down shots, the shot quality that he sees from the attention garnered by the big three, and how he kind of is just the quintessential role player for everything that they do on offense in terms of their process. What hasn't been talked about a lot, I've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I feel like it's going to increase as we get down this home stretch of the season, and that's Grayson Allen operating in pick and roll. I think independent again of his shooting prowess and everything spacing wise that comes with that, his ability to work in handoffs in a two-man game and three-player actions as a screener, but also as a ball handler, really puts defenses in compromising situations, because if he's on the floor with even just one of the big three and he's the one that's initiating a two-man action, that means that one of the big three is going to either be screening for him or spaced, and there's not going to be any help conceded from them in most contexts. And if you add two or all three of those players on the floor with him, and they're spaced around, or one of them is screening and two is spaced around, it just tugs at so many different strings and principles and responsibilities that a team might be putting forth on any given game. He's going to be enable a litany of driving lanes and optionality within that. And I think that's an important layer to their general pick and roll process, and just kind of mixing up the personnel and not always being initiated by Booker, Durant, and Beal. Allow those three pieces of space and allow for the space that they're going to enable for Grayson Allen to get him downhill, springboard him downhill, allow for him to play in space. He has the handle of attack, and it really almost always beat his man at the point of attack, whether that be with a screen or in self-creation without a screen. And I think that's something that Suns can lean into and get even more positive read and react play out of. So let's just kind of dive into the 3 reps that I saw that really stood out to me down the home stretch of their win over the Toronto Raptors. First play we're going to be seeing, we're going to pay attention right away, and it's all going to be Grayson Allen working with Kevin Durant in an empty side pick and roll. What's improved from their process in general when Durant is screening in pick and roll, whether that be for the guard to get downhill or to get the switch for Kevin Durant to play out of the post from, it's the angle at which they're setting the screen at. Earlier in the season, they would be setting the screen a little bit closer to the footprint center emblem that we see over in the area where the referee and Frank Vogel are. Now, the guards are bringing this screen to the free throw line extended area, if not below that, and then working the angle from there. It's a tougher angle for the screen navigator who's guarding the ball to actually navigate through, and it just compromises the defense in a different manner than when they're running it from a more flat angle. And I think this is important, and KD's also been more attention detailed in terms of the angle at which he's setting the screen at to all aid the location of the floor that the pick and roll is taking place from. So we see all of those things kind of adding up on this first rep, and we see Grayson Allen even threaten on a reject, which naturally takes the point of the screen to even lower below the free throw line, again making that even tougher of an angle for Gary Trent Jr. to ultimately navigate. And I speak of Gary Trent Jr. because with RJ Barrett on Kevin Durant, the Raptors did not want to make this switch and concede the size mismatch in the post to Kevin Durant. They were emphatic about that. They went out of their way and even conceded looks for the Suns by way of that over the course of the game, and especially in this fourth quarter stretch. We see Grayson Allen coming off of the screen here. It's not even just a crazy screen where Durant's trying to nail somebody on this one. He's really just setting a brush screen, just kind of getting in the way, a little bit of brush, a little bit of space screen. Gives Trent Jr. just enough to navigate, and that's all to springboard Grayson Allen downhill into the curved angle drive. And he's going to engage the nail. And as I slow-mo it and we see him start to turn the corner, you see Emmanuel quickly with the stunt, with the jab at, and then an extra effort in addition to the initial jab at the nail, just to make sure that he picks up his dribble. As that's happening, though, and I'll take it back a little bit, look at Royce O'Neal. Just understanding spacing, processing spacing, and knowing how to play within the advantages. And we see him doing just that here, all while sinking and just stretching the rotation off the nail. And if teams are going to continue, as they have been in his tenure with the Suns so far, to concede space to him when he's spaced, especially above the break, but it's even more so with below the break and in the corners as well, he has to make defenses pay, whether that be him playing off the catch and attacking the closeout, making quick passes to keep an advantage, or obviously shooting for himself, which he does here. Catch, shoot, knock it down. Big time shot there. And then here we see them getting right back into it again with Grayson Allen and Kevin Durant. And I love this part. We talk about Grayson Allen and being aggressive early in games, looking for his three-point shot, compromising the defense, putting pressure on them early in the shot clock. All of that fun stuff, spacing, all of that stuff. What's equally important is him putting pressure on defenses with his drives and the threat of them. We talked about the advantages in space and optionality and driving lanes that he gets when he's the one that's with the ball in his hands around Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, etc. Bradley Beal, etc. We see him doing just that, taking advantage of the pressure that RJ Barrett is applying to Kevin Durant and initially threatening that driving lane that we see right here. Now, ultimately, nothing comes of it as he sees that they have a little bit of help loaded up with Kelly Olynyk kind of waiting for him in the restricted area. So good job kind of just bleeding away the shot clock a little bit more, but putting pressure on the defense. And by him doing that, obviously that makes Gary Trent Jr. retreat. And because it's Grayson Allen, who knocked down 8 consecutive three-pointers in this game, no less, he's not going to duck under the screen. Even with Kevin Durant having as much space here as he does, as Grayson Allen kind of turns the corner to get downhill, they're not going to be going under any screens from Grayson Allen, not too quickly, especially in the space that he's operating in. And we see the exact same scenario kind of playing out here. This time, because Royce O'Neal burned the coverage at the nail with the heavy nail help from Emmanuel Quickley on the last possession, this time we see Quickley be a lot more tentative at the nail. Instead of having those 2.5 to almost 3 jab bats to make sure that Grayson Allen terminated his dribble, this time he gets one and he gets out of there, completely turns his back. Grayson Allen doesn't even pump fake and hardly even looks at Royce O'Neal. And Royce O'Neal again sinking to stretch that rotation. This is how just things kind of add up over time. And we see Grayson Allen, by way of Royce O'Neal knocking down that three-pointer, able to get a paint touch, engage the big, and then Drew Eubanks gets a little bit of a stampede from the dunking spot. And then last rep here, again, we talked about Grayson Allen threatening with his drives with the space enabled by way of the pressure and the lack of desire to help off of somebody like Kevin Durant when he's spaced around action. That driving lane, Grayson Allen threatened that. In the last rep, he ultimately takes this time, gets an early offense paint touch. Suns able to play +1 on the swing. Royce O'Neal misses this one, but you see the way the process is flowing out. Grayson Allen's drives are so important to this team. The more he gets into them, especially with how much time he spends on the floor with at least one of the big three, if not 2 or all 3, they're just going to take on so much more value for this team. There's so much more in their process. In that specific layer with him initiating action at times, where they can get positive play, positive shot quality, and just break the mundaneness that sometimes exists with their offense. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out going forward.